So last week you heard me talk about some of the components that goes into a boom kit. This week you're going to see them, and I'm going to start off by telling you that I have an insane kit. It is not typical by any means, but I'm going to show you quite a bit of it, and not all of it because we don't have 3 hours. But I'm going to show you quite a bit of it just to give you ideas in case it maybe has some sort of inspiration on you and you say, I might want to add something like that to my kit. Now, I'm going to start by actually jumping outside and taking on a quick tour of the boom poles I use and the boom caddy. So let's go on out there right now. This is borderline ridiculous, I know, but the system works well for me. Let's go over what I normally carry with me if I day play on a show. So this is a couple of things that I use on my wrist to kind of give me a little bit of wrist support, and I like them just fine. This is a couple of different size booms that I carry with me. This one right here is an Ambient QS. I keep the top part of this is Velcroed, and if I want to quickly undo the Velcro and put the cable back on there, it works well for me. I like this system better because it's cable management works well for me. So this pole goes up to about 12 feet. Notice I do have ambient quick releases on all the poles currently. This pole right here is an Ambient QS. I'm sorry, I think I said this was a QS. This is a QS Mini. This is an Ambient QS pole. Their premium line. This is the same thing except it's 18 feet. This is a QDS, which we'll get into in a different video. And of course, I wear this on my chest because it keeps all the stuff that I normally keep with me close. Now, if we're getting into this stand thing that it's in, this is called a boom caddy. I had this custom made, and it has pretty much everything I need on a daily basis. I can keep on here. If I need water bottles or something on there, if I mean, this is a little stress relief ball that I can use, and I usually keep it inside of the Robo Cup, as they call it, and you can get those on Amazon. It just clamps onto the thing right there, and you can keep whatever you want in there, snacks like, or drinks or whatever. I also have on here a couple of extra things. This is an like if you have a bike seat, this goes underneath the bike itself, the bike seat, and you can keep things inside. I used to keep sunglasses and an Allen key set and a couple other things in there for like getting rid of glare. Also, if we're outside, this can be difficult to see. So I have an LED light right here, which it's way too bright out here for you to actually see it, but it's currently on. And it does have a blink feature as well. I can move this up and down or even take it off if I want. So this is the boom caddy, as I call it. It does have, this is a custom built thing, by the way, that I can remove the base on and completely slide all of this up, and this base will come off, and I can put an umbrella base on the bottom if I want to weight it down a little bit more, so that way if I want to put an umbrella in the top here, it works great for that. I can also unclip the base, and the wheels are completely removable. So this right here can either add more weight to the boom caddy by hanging on the front here if I wanted to, or it can just be completely removed. The way you wander around with it is grab it and go. So this works really well for me. And if I need to, keep it on the wheels, like if I'm on a stage, wheel it around, and it's right where I want it to be. Now that is the boom caddy I carry with me on a daily basis. Now let's get into a couple more things here. Let me put this back first. I keep my booms stored in 2 different cases made by the Fiber Case Company out of New York. They're actually, I think, on Long Island. And those can be seen right here. They're made for the biggest size boom I have. Now, I do have 2 of them, and I keep the ones I'm currently using on a show most actively in the booms that I don't use as much and as often on the other one. And the other one is actually open. You see how it sandwiches all the booms in there just fine. Now this one here is open so you can see inside. Currently in here, I have 3 of the booms I'm currently not using, which is a small one. This is actually a custom-made pole that Ambient made for me. This is the size of a QX 550, but it's actually made out of QS material with the knuckles of a QP. This here is one of the old school QP 460s, and this here is one of the new QXS 5130s. This is the only pole I have that's internally coiled cabled, and I use this if it's raining outside. I can put a cable or something sticking out the bottom, and I don't have to worry about cable management and the cables going all over the ground in the mud or the dirt. So this works great for me there. Aside from this, I have an umbrella in here in case we come from outside and I haven't had a chance to getting my protective, I wear stuff that blocks the sun off of me, and if I need to, this right here will keep the sun off of me during rehearsal. Aside from that, you will see behind me, there is yet another boom. This one right here, inside of this is one of the guys that I trained last year. He made this for me. This is a boom box. Now they do make different kinds of boom boxes, and this is basically an Apple box that you can pick up and go. It's been made to actually hold a boom in there. So this here is a QP, I'm sorry, it's a QS with a QP 120 extension. So this pole goes up to 23 feet. So this one here goes up to 12, this one here 18, this one here 23. And all of my cables are Star Quad. They all have EMC black connectors on the female end, and they have male black connectors that are MX connectors, Neutrix, on the other end. So that's a total of 6 poles that you've seen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. Excuse me. I currently have 2 of them on loan because I keep backups of these 2 main poles. I actually have a QP 480 and a QP 4140. Those are currently on loan to friends that are on shows. And I normally keep those as backups to these if I'm on a long-term show, so that way I always have something available to me. Now, if I do need a shorty pole, I can resort to one of those if one of my backups is someplace else. If I do need a replacement for this, well, that's what this bad boy is for. So what makes up pole number 9? Well, this here is a very random thing that is extremely rare, but I'll show it to you. This here is fully collapsed. This is a QP 6200. And this right here collapses down to a size of 8 feet 2 inches. It extends out 36 feet. This is a very rare pole. We only have, I think, 6 of these in America, and I have used them on shows. You have to stand to operate this bad boy. This is a gun case, and opening it up on the inside, we have what's called a QAJ40. This is what you thread that jumbo boom into, and then you mount it on a C-stand, or actually a combo stand. So this entire thing is what you will operate a jumbo boom from. So you need this in order to make the whole thing work, because you don't want to hold 36 feet of pole. So my kit's already starting off kind of interesting, isn't it? 9 booms, and most boom operators normally carry 1, 2, maybe 3 at most. But I, of course, carry 9 because I'm me and I do things my own way. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and use an analogy that kind of is a stretch on something that I talked about in the last video. Remember the analogy I used between 2 handymen? And if you were hiring a handyman in your house to build a deck, and one guy has his own gear and another one shows up and has no gear, and everything else is the same. Their quotes are the same. The design is everything. You know, they have the same reputation. Everything else is the same. Which one are you going to hire if the prices are the same? Obviously, the one who has his own gear, right? Because he at least is portraying the idea that he is taking it more seriously, the whole career thing as a builder. Now, I'm going to go ahead and run with that for one more little moment here. If the handyman shows up with his own gear and is able to do the job, are you going to hire that handyman or one that owns his own Home Depot and has access to every single tool known to man? Well, at that point, it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, in all honesty, yes, it's nice he owns a Home Depot. Does that make him any better of a handyman? Any better at building a deck? No, it doesn't. And that's what I'm going to, I want to point that out here before we go any farther in this. My kit is great for me because it is something that I've developed over the course of time, and it serves my purposes. Everything in my kit serves a purpose for me. Doesn't mean it's going to be ideal for you. Doesn't mean that you have to do this if you want to be taken seriously as a boom op. It's just what works for me. So that said, let's get into the rest of my kit. Now, I did say in the video that I was going to talk about the chest rig. I'm currently wearing it. I used to wear a vest, and I decided at the beginning of 2018 to change up a few things because the vest carried a lot of things on there I didn't use a whole lot. I mean, I started with a pouch on my side, but I was actually doing a walk and talk with Cuba Gooding Jr., and he kept hearing it flapping and hitting it against my leg. He didn't say anything, but I kept noticing him looking at it. And so I said, okay, that's got to go. I'm going to get everything up on my core. So that's why I started wearing the vest. But over the course of time, I started adding more and more things to it. And I like almost never used it. My boom caddy is usually pretty close, so I can keep things on there. I don't necessarily have to keep it on my core. So I scaled down at the beginning of 2018 and started wearing a chest rig. This here is just something that you can put your arms over your head and still boom, and I can drop down on my knees, put down carpets, do whatever I need to, and still do my job just fine. I, of course, have sides that I can read, and when I'm done with them, I simply do this, go right in here, and it is ready to go. Now, I also keep other things in here, like a flashlight if I need it. It is right here at my hands. I have my utility tool right here. Inside, I also have, if I unzip this one, I, of course, have gum, hand sanitizer, pins, Sharpies, and a little, multi-tool thing that has various different sizes of screwdrivers, and you can flip it around and do whatever you need to. This works great on, transmitters and things like that if you need to do any kind of fine adjustment. I actually have small rubber bands to use in here, which, if you watch my video called Simple Solutions, I talk about what I use rubber bands for. These are no-stick scissors, so I can cut up tape and whatever else, and it doesn't stick to them. And, of course, I have extra batteries and things like that for transmitters, switching it out on the fly if I need to. Now, that is just what's in this particular pocket. I also have a separate pocket back here, and in here currently all I have is gloves. You have to wear your gloves if you're going to do any kind of cable wrangling or management, because if you have a cable running through mud or something like that, it's going to get all gunked up. You don't want that to be on your hands, and then all of a sudden you walk over to a talent to try to fix their wire, and you have dirty hands. So that's a little bit of something that you want to keep with you at all times is gloves. Now, notice that there was extra compartments in there. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put my keys, I'll put my wallet in there, so that way it is not in my pocket, because I don't usually like to have a whole lot of things in my pocket. If I don't have a jockey box or something on set, then I will usually keep them in here, because this is on me at all times. I don't need to worry about it. So the chest rig is now explained. I'm going to take this thing off, and let's get into the next, well, I should say, the very first bag. So now I have a table out here because you're going to see me start to go through certain things like my bag. This bag I carry with me on set, and it usually hangs out, and hangs, I should say, right on the end of my boom caddy. Now, I'm going to start by saying this has various different options in it that keep the sun off of me. I'm not a huge fan of the sun just blasting me in the face. In the last show I was on, now this bag, I basically will adjust the contents based on the show I'm on. The last show I worked on, it was strong in gunfire. There was a lot of dust in the air, things like that. And so a lot of the things you're going to see in this bag were pulled from my bag of doom, as I call it. And that is, and I basically pull things in and out of my set bag here, and you'll see what's in it in a minute. But right here, this is one thing I can use to keep the sun off of me. If I get this wet and drench and basically have it drenched, I can give it a snap. The temperature of this drops, and it keeps my head and neck cool. Keeps the sun off me as well. Now, this is one option that I have, and I can use this in combination with my neck tube. And this over here, I think these are by Enduracool. And this right here, you put this tube around your neck, and the temperature drops. You can even run this up, and, geez, I might as well just show you, right? So I can do this number. I can actually cover up part of my face, or, believe it or not, you can even, if you really wanted to, close it all the way in here. You could make a, you have all these different options of how you can use it. Even if you wanted to make it into a ninja mask, you could, which I actually haven't done. Another thing I use for a ninja mask, but this is at least an option, but I don't like this because then it leaves the neck exposed. So anyway, let me not use this right now to show you. I used this on a season a couple of years ago of the show I just got through finishing on, which, okay, I'll tell you, Walking Dead. We're outdoors all day. It's like 14 hours a day in the sun, insects all over you, and it drove me nuts. I don't like being out in the sun, so I started covering up. As a matter of fact, side note, Talking Dead did a quick shout out to me in the behind the scenes thing they did at the beginning of the mid-season premiere in season 8. And you see that on the screen right now. This is what they basically put up there. So it's a little quick shout out. Talks a little bit about the cooling stuff that I did. This is what you saw me wearing in that video. Now, it basically is a hat that has side flaps. Now, it does have also, and I can unsnap this. I don't want to leave it on there, but right now it's currently on there. it's a complete face cover. You might think this is distracting to the actors. The actors actually didn't seem to mind it. Once they were like, well, what's his deal? And they realized that I basically am blocking the sun and keeping myself in the shade all day long. They were like, well, it doesn't really bother me. And when I put on sunglasses, they can't see me looking at them. So they actually tune me out, believe it or not. So, I mean, you'd think that this guy wearing all black right in front of him would be distracting. It's not actually to them. It's very interesting. So that's another option that I have. If I'm wearing earbuds and just feel like doing this number because it might be overcast and just to keep some of the things out of my face, I'll use this outdoor research hat. And if I want to put the headphones over my ears, this is an option too. So those are a few different headwear options, and I'm not going to go any farther than that. So let's start to dive into my set bag here. If I want to put a plant mic down, I have various different little pads that I can put plants on. Here's a microfiber cloth. Of course, you got to have your pipe cleaners for if I clean any of my XLR connectors. Zip Fizz, I actually really like Zip Fizz. It's very similar to Emergency if you're familiar with it. It's like a vitamin type thing. You add it to water, but I don't actually add it to water. I just go straight with it and kind of use it like a, fizzy, candy type thing, but it doesn't have sugar in it, so I really like it. These are some collar stays that I use for plants. If any of these things, by the way, you want to see me talk in more detail about them or what I actually use them for, then write in the comments down below what you'd like to see, and I'll go over it in another video. Here is a Coiled Xlr connector that you saw the boom that I have an internal coil on. This is on set with me at all times. I can grab this cable if I use that boom and run with it. So I always have this available if I need it. It's never far from me. So that feels like it's pretty much the end of this compartment. So we'll move on to the main part of the bag now. One of the cool things about this bag is if I don't use it, if I want to collapse it all the way, I can actually hide it completely by folding it up inside of a bag that's on the inside here. It's just actually built into it. This here is something I just recently added to my kit. It is a bug. Of course, I went to the wrong side. It is a bug zapper, and it is battery powered. So if I do any kind of work outside in the summer, I can actually turn this thing on. It has a light built into it, or various different intensities. And of course, this is a bug zapper, so it can zap any mosquitoes is what it's designed for. And it'll keep those things away from me. I'll hang this off of the boom caddy, and it's great. Now, of course, there is a built-in battery that it charges from. And what does it get that charge from? I'll show you. It can get it from something I keep in this. No, it's not black, but I keep it, inside at all times. I have a couple of different options of solar powered. I mean, these things right here are really cool. I mean, they basically collect the sun power, the solar power, and it converts it into energy that I can use to charge a cell phone or my bug zapper or something like that. A couple of different options there. And of course you have, you press the button, it tells you the life of it. And this one's very similar, but I do have two different options and they do various different things. So if you're away from power in the middle of a field or something like that, and you need to charge something, you can. And that is something I have with me at all times. And that's cool. Of course, I mentioned gunfire. I mentioned Walking Dead. Not very hard to imagine that something like ear protection is necessary on that kind of a show. Of course, I also have goggles in case there's any kind of... I use these two different ways, actually. If there's something that is flying in the air and I need to cover up my eyes, I'll wear them because I actually have my own for that. I will also use these in the winter. If there's a lot of wind blowing around, I don't want my eyes and my contacts to dry. So I will use those and cover up my face yet again, using those goggles. And it does a really good job of keeping the wind out of my eyes. So that way, if I'm watching somebody and I'm booming for a long period of time, I don't get like dry eyes and stuff like that. I do sell headsets on set. That way, if their surveillance headset is no longer functioning, I can sell them one and I keep it there. Here's a face shield that, this is a different kind of face shield from the goggles. This, goes around and of course it blocks the face as well as the eyes. So if there is, ricocheting or not ricocheting, what am I saying? If there's bullets flying or anything like that, and I'm right next to something like that, I can cover up wearing like a hoodie and cover up my arms and hands with my gloves, but it doesn't do anything for the face. So that does protect my face from any kind of flying shells. And this is just a motorcycle riding mask. You can buy those really inexpensively, believe it or not, on places like Amazon. So there is that. I also have in here, these are some Lexan pieces that I use for helping me with plants, plant miking. This is a waterproof bag that's currently all tied up in here, very tight. And I have another thing in here, which is it's kind of like a Pelican, but it's an off-brand. It was just smaller in size, so I liked it. And it has various different things in here, like ties, and has a pair of Ear Hero headphones and a couple of clamps, little things like that that I can occasionally use if I need to rig something. I think that's pretty much it for here. For down in the bag, there's only one more thing in here, and I'll show you that. It is located. Sorry, this is like crazy, isn't it? Going through all this stuff with you guys watching. Here at the beginning, this is the little pouch I mentioned that the whole bag actually folds into this pouch. Right here is a dust mask, and that way I can wear this if I want to. It's a very low profile, small dust mask, and so that way, it does have a couple of filters on there, so if there's a lot of dust in the air, it's not going to go straight to my sinuses and screw up my my breathing and whatever else. Because sometimes they do have those on set, sometimes they don't have them available on set, or they may say, okay, well, we need to go get them. Well, I always have my own, so I don't have to rely on anybody. Let me pack this thing up and we'll go to the next bag. This here is another bag that I carry with me on pretty much every set I go to. This is what I refer to as my Shockmount bag. It is a black bag that has various different shock mounts. This one here is an Osix 8 for an MKH50. This is the soft version. There's a hard version in here too. There it is. I don't know why it's not in its container. There's an different Ox. Oh, no, those are Envision Lyre 6s and 7s with shorties on there that I can use for various different microphones. I have there's an Osix 3. I mean, there's various different Sinella and Rycote shock mounts in here. What is this one over here? This is, oh, okay, these are like remote antennas. If I need to remote antennas, I can unplug the antenna off of a transmitter and plug them into this and put it on the outside of a car window or something like that. This here is, if I'm doing like a sit-down interview or something like that, I can put this in a C-stand and it holds a boom. This is actually something you get from Bass Pro Shop, and a lot of sound vendors sell them the exact same thing. This is for a fish pole technically, but a lot of sound vendors do sell them for 4 times the price, and they do just the same good job because it's the same exact component pretty much. This here is a pair of 7506 Sony headphones. And those are the ones I use on set. I know they don't close the ear in all the way like other ones do, but the reason I don't wear more closed ears is because I like to actually hear through them. I know what you're saying. Inner ear monitors. Yes, that's an option, and I've thought about them. I just am really looking for one that I really want to use. Oh, this is where I keep some of my quick releases, and I do mean some of them. I have like Sound Guy Solutions quick releases, a couple of different ones, a whole bunch of the tips. I have Orca quick releases, of course, Ambient. Just, you know, the major brands of quick releases are right here. So if I do need to put something like that on one of my poles because I'm working with a mixer that uses them, then I can. This, of course, right here is where I keep the Sinella Leonard balls. And if you didn't see my review of them, right up there, check it out. These Sinella Leonard balls are completely awesome. And that's a Leo 20 in there and the Leo 25 and, of course, redesigned versions. So this is my Shockmount bag. I think that's pretty much a tour of it. Oh, yeah. These are some straps. These are not ratchet straps. They're, I guess you could say, they should actually be managed better than that. But I can hook this around something and then pull the rope and it will tighten up, and so that way I can keep certain components in certain places. There's other shock mounts and stuff in here, but for the general gist of it, I mean, you see what I have in the bag, so it gives you an idea. Shockmount bag. Of course, you don't have to carry your own shock mounts with you. I do, just because I don't know what a sound mixer is going to have in their kit, and I want to make sure I always have the things that I like working with. So I always carry my own shock mounts, and I use them if the mixer does not have their own that are currently on rental from their production company. So, or their rental company rather. So this here is my bag that I use for foul weather gear. This is I mentioned the Neos. These are Neo overcovers or overshoes. I actually open them up right here. You can slide your foot directly into these, and that way you can keep your shoes on. They block out the sun. I'm sorry, block out the sun. Brilliant. They block out the rain, and they keep it from getting in there. Really, there's not a whole lot really that you need to see in here. I do have one thing that I personally geek out about, which is my, I have a custom cloak that I had made out of oilcloth. And I had a lady who's a seamstress that specializes in oilcloth to make me my own cloak that it's a design where I can put it around me, and if I put my arms over my head, then of course it doesn't choke me out, because a cape or something like that does choke you out. But this is it's over big in size, so that way I can actually wrap my pole around there and keep it in if it's raining. And the reason I have that, in addition to my rain cover, and of course I have boots and stuff in there too. But the reason why I have that instead of, and I may use that instead of the raincoat, is because raincoats in the summer get very, very hot. And if it's sprinkling a little bit, then it stops. Then it's sprinkling a little bit and it stops. And it's not really a full rain, but it's something that you definitely want to cover up from, because you don't know if it's going to turn into a full rain. I'll wear the cloak because I can throw it back. Yes, it's hot, but I'll throw it off of my shoulders, and it allows me to fully, be open and allow the breeze to hit me or whatever else. And then if it does start to rain, I just grab it and pull it around me because it's right around me. Anyway, this is the foul weather gear bag. There is one other thing I'll show you that's on the front of the bag that I think are really cool. You can get these for about $25 on Amazon. They are, man, everything is shaking, sorry. These are waterproof socks. You can actually put these on. They will trap moisture. The moisture that it traps on the inside, it will feel like your shoes or your feet are actually getting wet, but actually it's the moisture of your foot. And it's 3 layers. It's 3 different layers. You have a cloth layer on the inside, then there's a layer of waterproofing, and then you have the cloth layer on the outside as well. So it's comfortable wherever you have. The moisture only goes from the inside out. It does not go from the outside in, and it does keep the water out pretty well. And for $25 a pair, you would hope so, right? So this is my foul weather gear bag. I'm not going to bother showing you the Magnum boots. Just trust me, they're awesome, and they're in there. One more thing I forgot to tell you that's in there is water shoes. I can put these on with the waterproof socks on if I really want to, and go creek walking, and it's not going to completely drench and ruin a pair of shoes or boots. This right here, if I'm going to be up to like my knees or something like that, I'll put these on because, these can get completely wet, and they're great. So since we're at the foul weather gear bag, I might as well at least show this. This here is my rain outfit. And of course, remember the little wrist things? I put those on my wrist if I put my arms over my head. That way I don't get water going into my wrist there. So anyway, if I have my arms over my head and I'm doing this, see what's happening? This is covering up my eyes. And if I'm doing this number and trying to keep the rain out, and if I'm not going to fully close it in there, but you get the idea. If I do this and I'm following around, this is covering up my eyes. I can't have that, because if I cover up my eyes, I could accidentally hit somebody with the boom or something. It's not good. So this is one of the little tips you can do. Wear a hat, and the sunbill that normally keeps the sun out of your eyes is going to keep this right here. First of all, it's going to keep the rain from hitting your eyes also. It's going to help with the rain cover. But it's also, if you look, it's going to keep the rain cover out of my eyes also. So I can do anything I want to, looking any direction I want to, and it's going to stay out of my eyes now. This here is a backup set of clothes. I have a backup set of clothes I always keep with me in case something happens. In case I suddenly am out in the rain and get flash water on me. If I need another layer, I have that in here as well. Everything from socks, underwear, pants, shorts and long pants, different shirt, belt, all that kind of stuff is in here. And I also have a really thick, comfy blanket right there that's, it feels like an electric blanket in all honesty, but it's not. It's like a fake fur type thing, but it does a great job of insulating. So if I'm ever someplace, and like a few years ago we were caught in like an ice storm and I need an extra layer or something like that because I don't have it with me and the temperature was dropping. If I need something like that because the heat goes out when the power goes out, then I can always resort to that and it's going to be awesome. So extra clothes is a great thing to carry with you at all times. The only thing I don't have extras of there is shoes, but then of course I could always use the water shoes and, you know, the boots or whatever else. I usually carry different sets of shoes anyway. This here is a bag I refer to as my bag of doom. The reason I call it that is because it basically started as a bag that I started to put a few random things in, and then over the course of time, I started putting more and more and more and more and more things in there. At one point, it even had like a little mini folding up stool in there. It had all kinds of things in there. Utilities hated this bag because I would always say, hey, can I hang this on the side of your cart or something like that? And they was like, this thing weighs 100 pounds. It doesn't. It just, there's a lot of stuff in there. So anytime I would go and grab this and say, well, I need some stuff off of this, can we grab it and bring it to the cart? They didn't want to wheel it around. They were always complaining about it. They dreaded it. So I should have probably called it the bag of dread, but I called it the bag of doom because they would always get like a look of like, oh, jeez, I gotta move that thing around. So anyway, here's what's in my bag of doom. I don't really think I have anything on the sides in this little pocket bit, but I'll show you. On one side I do, on the other side I do not. Okay, so this is the side I do. I have museum wax that I use for securing items, disposable contacts if I need them. Here is an extra set of sunglasses if I need them. Here's a little portable speaker. Here's a few different size bags if I need them for transmitters or something like that. I can always put a transmitter in that and it's zip-locked away. Here is, going off axis with the mic, sorry about that. I have a key ring on this side so that way I can tell the difference. A little portable speaker. I keep booties in here. This is it. Normally, you know, like if you're in a hospital, you would keep these for putting on your shoes. I keep these because it actually makes your shoes quiet if you put them on your shoes and you have a whole bunch of people doing a walk and talk. Microfiber cloth for cleaning booms or whatever. Here is, of course, you saw my video on the cable protection method. Little keeper. Cotton sole kung fu shoes, which I can do a video about sometime and explain those if you really want to know. Those are also quiet though. And that's what's in this side of the bag of doom. Real quick, on all of my bags, I keep a luggage tie. The same kind of thing that you'd put on your luggage if you are going through an airport, but it has all of my information on there. My name, sound department, my phone number, my email address. If lost, please contact me. All my information is on there. And of course, it's nothing that's going to accidentally come off because it's a luggage tie. So let's go through the side components here, side pockets here. I have a couple of different cleaning things. I have some tweakers. This here is if I have something that I need precision cleaning out, like a little, groove or something like that. It also has a brush on this side, so you can use it for cleaning, spot cleaning little electronic devices or something like that. But that's what's in here. Moving on to the center compartment, we have, if I am going outside, I need my headlamp. So this here is a headlamp. It has two different light intensities, red and white light. And I keep extra batteries in here as well. So that is always with me, and I'll grab that and keep it with me if we have a location like in the middle of the field, and I know that as soon as the lights go off, it's going to get dark. I will grab that out of the bag of doom. On this side, I have a really high-powered flashlight, which I'll also pull out if we want to go outside. In the same kind of environment as the headlamp. More surveillance headset pieces that I use to sell when I'm on set. This here, it's a DPA bag, but actually it has a headset, over-ear headset that goes. It's wired for TA5, and electro mute switch that I can use for talkback purposes. If I want to, I can use that. It does have it has everything I need to actually jump to a transmitter. So if I need a talkback microphone, I have it right there. I have a hydrophone in here, and for whatever reason, I have a Waffle House hat. So I guess if I want to wear a Waffle House hat, that's an option. Before we turn this around, let me go over what's in the top. I have a heat gun. Now, this, of course, you use the laser and you dial in on exactly what it is, and it'll tell you the temperature of whatever you hit with it. I'm a geek. I like to play with this kind of thing. I mean, we goofed off with it on Walking Dead and put an egg, cracked it on the ground, and saw that it was like 130 some odd degrees. Fun little thing there. But I can also use it to see how hot it is on a set, or if a condition is getting outrageous. And we're just looking at things. A couple of different antennas. Believe it or not, you can use something like this for plants if you need to build a bridge across something like a corner of a car. There's not a place to put a plant off of. You can use a telescoping antenna for something like that. You can also fly it up from someplace. If you drill, on the bottom of it, it actually has a screw. You can drill a hole and if you really want to mount something. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. But there's ways of using it for plants. I'll leave it at that. A golf ball. As strange as it may sound, this is actually something you can use if you have a muscle that is getting sore. You can use it, and just by putting some pressure with the golf ball right here, like on a muscle, just by pressing, or like right in here, you can put a little bit of spot pressure that's not like overly hard like a point, but you can put some pressure, and the golf ball actually helps to relieve some muscle aches that way. This is just, something that the umbrella you saw, this is the cover for it, but I never really use it. So anyway, that's what's in the top of the bag of doom. Okay, this is a little portable air conditioning system. They call this a handy cooler. You can, might need some little work on it, but anyway, you open this up and you put the sponge that's on the inside here. You drench it in cold water, and then you can use it. It pulls through, but I don't actually use this thing anymore. I'll give it to sometimes talent. I'll give it to them if they get overly hot. Here is another dust mask I have if I need it. Here is some cold weather gloves. These are actually convertible, so you can have your hand in them like this, and then if you want to cover up your fingers, you can do that number 2. And these are, I always get like the coldest weather gloves possible, because if my hands get cold, then it drives me nuts, and I lose a lot of mobility out of what I do. Here's a talkback. This is actually a surveillance headset converted to a TA5 that can go into a transmitter, and I can use that for a talkback. This here is it's got silica gel beads in there, and this acts as a dehumidifier. So if we have some sort of electronic device that we need to get the moisture out of, we can. This resets that. 2 different types of Velcro I have. Velcro One Wrap, which is great. I love this stuff. And I also have the Monoprice. This stuff is garbage, in all honesty. I'm looking for a use for that, to get rid of it, in all honesty. It's nothing I recommend. And I think that's got it for this. So I went ahead and took everything out of the center part of the bag of doom, so that way I could put it back in and show it to you as I do. First thing I have here, this here is various different things that I use if I have to black myself out completely. Like this here, for example, is a shirt that if I put it on, it's a hood that covers up my face. It has extra long sleeves where I put a thumb hole in there, so that way it grabs hold. And if I put gloves on my hand, then you can't see anything. And if I need to hide from camera, I can put a piece of black duvetine behind me, with, of course, the DP's permission, and cover myself up. I have a morph mask, so if I completely want to cover up my face, I can still see out. These are cotton gloves. I have a shamog in here that I can use to wrap around my headphones, and it looks like a ninja mask. I know people always say that, but it looks like that, but it makes it so that the only thing that you can see is my eyes. And if I'm on a set and trying to, against a black background, DPs usually don't see just this little bitty oval of your eyes, as long as you don't move a whole lot. Now, if they happen to see it, then I'll go into the morph mask, which completely covers up your face, and you can still see out this thing, pretty decently, because it's it's not really completely see-through. You can see like 50% of it. And I actually wore it a few years ago on a show, and DP got mad because he saw his operator and his ACs and everybody, but didn't see me, and he got furious, saying, "This is the first time in history that we've not seen a boom operator in the reflection, but we see our operators." So anyway, this is going This is a whole bunch of different things I use. This is what I call my stealth kit. Now remember, you don't need to wear black on set. I just do. So there you go. As long as you have a black shirt or something like that with you, you can. Black hat right here. This is, of course, by the company Zaxcom. So thanks for the hat. I do wear that. I do have other different things in here too. This is a back brace that if sometimes I've actually hurt my back doing long walk and talks over uneven surfaces and stuff like that. I've stepped weird and hurt my back. Here's one from hat from K-Tech. Thank you. Also, K-Tech has stuff there. This is where I keep all my gloves. I actually have a total of 9 pairs of gloves I use for different things. And I don't need to necessarily go into it all right now. I might decommission some of the gloves, as a matter of fact, because I don't use them a whole lot anymore. But anyway, this here is if I'm going from, if they suddenly add a scene outdoors and I'm in indoor mode where I'm all short sleeves and stuff for the day. These are some sleeves that are SPF 50 that I can wear, and they cover up my arms, so that way I'm not going to have the sun on me. More gloves. These are deep winter gloves, kind of like the other ones. These are knee braces if I'm doing like a crazy walk and talk over uneven surfaces and stuff like that on the ground. I can wear those, and it will protect my knees. This here, I'm sure you see like the coolers, and not coolers, but this keeps liquid hot. Well, what I'll do is I have on the inside of here a whole bunch of these little packets that if I press this, it will flex the chip and it will actually heat up. I don't have very good luck with hot hands and things like that, but these right here, they keep warm for about 20 minutes. So if I need to restore some feeling to my fingers because it's really cold outside, I can use that. And of course, because this has hot water, it can reset them as well. So that is an option I have with me at all times. More cable protectors right here. Got to have those for protecting your sound mixers cables. Right here, these are a couple of different options I have for gunshot mics. These are, of course, dynamic microphones, which don't have any kind of SPL limit. These are EV635 NDBs, neodymium magnets, and the B is because it's black. They're you can get these things like right next to a gunshot, and you're not gonna damage them. If I want better fidelity on gunshots, I can also resort to something else I have, which of course you might have heard me talk about in another one of my videos. I have another case, and inside of here is where I keep all the stuff related to my condenser microphones I use for gunshots. You'll recognize it. I have my AKG C4000B. The other one is right there in front of the camera right now, along with the shock mount that goes with it. I also have, I'm going to show this also. This here is called an Airhead. It's made by the same company, Triton Audio, that makes the Fed head, but this attenuates 15 dB. So if your mixer says, man, I'm just blowing my meters with the gunshots because it's so close, you can pad it down with this by 15 dB, and that gives them a little bit of it allows them to actually bring up their trim just a little bit. And I have other little things in here too, like if for some strange reason I need to have a little handle for the shock mount, I can add this on there. I know it's like, what would you use that for? Believe it or not, if you're doing any kind of a voiceover in a small thing and you don't have a stand on you, you can do something like that and at least hold it. That is an option. I, of course, have various different quick releases that are used. These are the Atlas quick releases. And, of course, this here is a wind cover that goes over the C4000B. It's designed for the C4000B. We always refer to these as the Don King wind covers because when they're on there and you poof it up, make it look all good, looks like Don King. So, of course, it's not all the way on there, but you get the idea. This, of course, is not everything in my kit. I do have other things as well. I have, like, for example, stands that can hold the shock mounts and the C4000B microphones, so that way I can put them exactly where I want them to be to record those gunshots. I also have a chair that has my name on it, that I have embroidered my name and, boom operator and stuff on there. There's also a Super Elite scooter by the Super Elite Scooter Company. It's a high-power scooter that can go up to like 23 miles an hour and can hold about 300 pounds of weight, so I can load up gear and stuff like that. It moves me really quickly around certain stages, and if there's big areas that, we might have the bathroom far away from set or something like that, shooting on some weird location. It takes forever to get to and from the bathroom. We can bring out the scooter and zap quickly to and from there. You know, things like that. There's other things in my kit, but let's not go completely ridiculous. Just keep in mind that if I'm day playing and doing a small show, I'm only going to bring a few things out of the kit according to what I'm going to be doing for the day. Like if I look at it and it looks to me like I could end up needing the super long pole, I'll bring that pole. Not the big long jumbo 36-footer. That's something I'll only bring and keep on the show if I am full-time on the show. And that's part of like if I get kit rental and that kind of thing. But if I'm only day playing or doing like a small thing like a pilot or something along those lines, I'll only bring the gear that I know I'm going to need for that show. If there's anything about water at all, I'll bring the hydrophone, for example. If there's anything that mentions rain, then of course I'm going to have the foul weather gear, but I'm going to make sure it's all cleaned and ready to go. If there's anything about, you know, cold weather or anything like that, like if it says it's going to be snowy and we might be shooting ice into the air or snow or something like that, I'll make sure I have my cold stuff, even though it could be warmer weather. So, I mean, I'll look at the scripts and I'll figure things out on the fly, like ahead of time as I read the script. But anyway, so that gives you a little bit of ideas of what is in an insane boom kit. Hopefully you found it interesting and you might maybe have thought of something that you might want to add in your kit too. Of course, you don't need to have it all. It is, of course, in my opinion, it's great for me and it serves my purposes great. But of course, most people find it to be very ridiculous. But, you know, to each his own, right? That's it for this video. Thanks for staying with me this long. Now, if you have any questions about any of the things I showed, either you want me to elaborate on it or maybe even explain it because I just kind of touched and go on it, then feel free to write it in the comment section down below and I'll either reply there or I might even make my own video about that topic. It depends on what you ask. Anyway, thanks for staying with me and take care. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.